Welcome, guys. Welcome back to week 5 of Chat and Chew. This is J Dog. Gage could not make it today, but we are going to run through week 5 overview and a week 6 preview to get you guys caught up to speed on what is going on in the NFL. So, we're going to get started with the Bears versus the Commanders. So, this game was a very big surprise, especially to me. I see the Chicago Bears coming in and Commanders playing pretty well. I mean, their 2-3 record doesn't say what they've been doing because Sam Howell, he comes in, he looks way better than I expected him to this year. Only to score only 3 points in the first half. So the Chicago Bears, the only quarter they didn't score in was the third quarter. The rest of the quarters they scored 10 or more points, which is absolutely insane for the Chicago Bears this year. Justin Fields, he 15 completions out of 29, 282 yards and 4 touchdowns. Khalil Herbert had a game. Sadly, he got injured during this game, but he had 10 rushes for 76 yards. Justin Fields, as normal, 11 rushes for 57 yards. Receiving, this is the craziest part. DJ Moore finally making a name for himself in Chicago. He had 8 receptions for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a 28.8 average. This guy is looking great fantasy-wise. Cole Kmet, he had 5 receptions, 42 yards, and a touchdown. Cole Kmet's starting to seal himself back into a good tight end, especially in fantasy. So it's looking good. Their defense even had a game. They all around, the Bears were looking good this game. And could this be the point where they turn it around? They're 1-4, so it's going to be hard. But if they play like this, there's no stopping them. It is against the Commanders, though. I'd like to see them do this against some higher-level defenses to see what they can actually get going. But this is something that really shocked me. Sam Howell, 37-51, 388 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. It felt like they had no run game. Their run game was just getting stopped. But they also didn't run that much. They ran 6 times with Brian Robinson for 10 yards. 6 times for 10 yards. That's a 1.7 average. And then Sam Howell ran 4 times for 19 yards. Logan Thomas, the tight end, looking great. 9 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Curtis Samuel, 6 receptions, 65 yards, a touchdown. 4 receptions for Antonio Gibson, 64 yards. I mean, this ball was spread around. Let me see how many receivers he threw to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 different receivers got thrown to during this game. I mean, he's spreading the ball around. Sam Howell's playing good football. He only had 1 interception for 51 passes. I mean, that's pretty good, honestly. And if they had a run game, they'd be able to open that passing game a little more. So then the Bears being able to stop that run game was probably the biggest thing in this game. Sam Howell's been sacked 29 times in 5 games. The record for the quarterback getting sacked is 76 times by David Carr. Will Sam Howell hit that mark? I mean, this offensive line looks like they are just letting him get pressured, get sacked. This is insane. So let's see how it turns out for Sam Howell. He's playing good football, even though that he's going through all of this pressure. So moving over to the Jags and the Bills. Trevor Lawrence not playing a perfect game. He's playing good, but he's not playing perfect. 25-37, 315 yards and a touchdown. Compared to Josh Allen's 27 for 40, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Josh Allen's not playing perfect football either. Josh Allen also ran four times for 14 yards and a touchdown. So Josh Allen carrying his team once again. Looking at this, Travis Etienne had a game. He was looking great. 26 carries, 136 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was averaging 5.2 yards per carry. This is what I said last week. For some reason, the Jaguars always look good in London. They are a favorite over there. They look great down there. Calvin Ridley, great game. 7 receptions, 122 yards, and a 17.4 yard average. He's doing great. Christian Kirk, 6 receptions, 78 yards. Travis Etienne, 4 receptions, 48 yards. Etienne's having great fantasy numbers. He's getting receptions, he's getting touchdowns, he's getting yards. and he's getting carries. So, I mean, this guy is all around doing great. The Bills, they were holding on, but yeah, it was rough to see the Bills lose this game because I could see how much they were fighting for it, but it felt like they couldn't get anything going, especially with the run game. James Cook, I was calling him Dalvin. James Cook, 5 carries, -4 yards, and a -0.8 average. That's awful. And it's not like anyone else is doing anything. Damian Harris, three carries, 13 yards. Latavius Murray, 2 carries, 6 yards. They could not get the run game going. Another case of not being able to get the run game going, so it's not opening the passing lanes more because they're expecting you to pass because you can't get the run game going. So it's another case. You got to get that run game. You got to have that separation where the run game keeps the defense honest so you can pass. Same with passing. Passing keeps the defense honest so you can run. It's all together. You can't run Derrick Henry a million times, just like you can't pass to Stephon Diggs a million times, even though Stephon Diggs had 8 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Gabe Davis also had 6 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, it's not like they were having a bad game. It's just you got to have both sides of the ball going. That's defensive, offensive. That's also run game, pass game. Both sides of offense has to be going for everything to work well. Sometimes you'll get away with it. This was not one of those times. We're gonna jump over to the Texans game. Let me pull that up here. Texans versus Falcons. Now this was a close one, and honestly, I did not expect the outcome. So C.J. Stroud continues to have great games. He's passing for a lot of yards. He's not turning the ball over. He's doing great. I mean, this is a solid rookie year, and it's with the Texans, and nobody thought the Texans were even going to be good at all, let alone, I mean, this quarterback is making them look decent. They're 2 for 3, but don't let the record fool you. C.J. Stroud is playing good, and with a receiving core that nobody expected to even do anything after Brandon Cooks leaving. So C.J. Stroud, 20 for 35, 249 yards and a touchdown. He's all over the place. Dameon Pierce had a game too, 20 carries, 66 yards, only 3.3 average, but he was at least moving the ball. Like I said, keeping it honest, 20 carries, 66 yards. They kept doing that to open up the pass game. Dalton Schultz finally looking like he's getting comfortable in there with 7 receptions, 65 yards and a touchdown. Tank Dell, 3 receptions, 57 yards. Nico Collins, kind of a quiet game for him. 3 receptions, 39 yards. So, then the Falcons. This is not something I expected. Desmond Ridder came out showing why he should keep the job. People were questioning if he was a starter in this league, and then he came out and played 28 for 37, 329 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions. Bijan, 14 carries, 46 yards, only a 3.3 average. He just made Kyle Pitts look good. 7 receptions, 87 yards. Kyle Pitts is good. He's talented. You just got to get the ball to him. You got to work him into this offense. Drake London, 6 receptions, 78 yards. Jonnu Smith, 6 receptions, 67 yards. I mean, this guy was passing, and it wasn't like just a little pass. It was downfield. Desmond Ridder was playing good football. So I'll give him credit there. He has a chance to really break away. And if he keeps playing like this, it's kind of like Zach Wilson. He had a lot of struggle, which Zach Wilson struggled for a lot longer. But turning it around. So we will see how that translates into the rest of the season. One team in particular, that I just cannot believe what's going on is the Carolina Panthers. 0-5. So they're 25. Bryce Young was 25-41, 247 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He's turning the ball over a lot. Adam Thielen looking like that receiver that was in the Vikings. He's looking like a number 1 there. 11 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Adam Thielen has always been a reliable guy to throw the ball to, and he's showing why that they wanted to get him over to the Panthers. Jared Goff played a great game. 20 throws, 28 catches, or 28 passes and 20 completions for 236 yards and 3 touchdowns. David Montgomery, 19 carries, 109 yards, and a touchdown, with their top receiver being Josh Reynolds for 4 receptions for 76 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Jared Goff was playing good football, and honestly, he had no interceptions. He spread the ball around. Sam Laporta, Josh Reynolds, and this is without St. Brown. So I mean, he's making it work, and this Lions team seems pretty legit. They scored 42 points without their top receiver in. So this Lions team looks like they're ready to win. They're 4-1. I mean, this Lions team's looking a little scary. Now for my Ravens game, this was a tough one. I see Stephen Smith out there talking about Lamar Jackson and if he deserves to get paid what he's getting paid. This is not a game to talk about that. Now, a fumbling issue we've been talking about for a while, that is something that you could bring in consideration when you talk about it. But this guy played a great game against a great defense. And, I mean, he was 22 for 38, 236 yards, and 1 interception. He had a lot of drops. The interception, that was on him. That was on him. When you're in shotgun formation and you try to throw that fade, you only have a second. When you get the ball and take the snap, you have such a quick reaction because you're in shotgun and you're only about 5 yards away from the goal line. So when you're in shotgun, you have to think about what throw you're doing while you're snapping the ball, while you're seeing the coverage start. And you don't know if he's going to go back. If he had another second, he could have threw an over-the-shoulder pass. But he didn't have enough time to think about it. So he threw a fade, and Beckham didn't really fight for it either. It's not like he fought for it. You saw that Joey Porter Jr. was inside. He was ready for that. So that was a good interception by Porter. But yeah, Lamar Jackson saw a lot of drops by his wide receivers as well, including touchdown passes. If Nelson Aguilar caught that, if Rashad Bateman caught that, Zay Flowers had a few drops. It was a rough game. So, and this is a divisional rival. People are very in their feelings with these kind of games. Zay Flowers still had a game, 5 receptions, 73 yards. Mark Andrews, 6 receptions, 65 yards. And Nelson Aguilar, 4 receptions, 64 yards. Odell Beckham, only 2 receptions, 13 yards. I mean, Rashad Bateman, 1 reception, 8 yards. So we need to get. I mean, Rashad Bateman and Odell Beckham are supposed to be 2 of our top receivers. Nelson Aguilar is supposed to be our wide receiver 4, and this guy's playing better than the guy that we just paid $17 million to. So they really need to step up. We need them to step up. Lamar Jackson needs them to step up because they're questioning Lamar when they should be questioning our receiving core, making good things. And Lamar said that. And I don't blame him. He said, we don't expect our people to drop passes, but we're going to work to get better. So he brought it back saying we're going to work hard. Kenny Pickett, looking rough. That offense is stale. That George Pickens, 6 receptions, 130 yards, and a touchdown. One of those receptions was for 77 yards and a touchdown. So, but other than that, I mean, the second receiver was 3 receptions, 39 yards to his running back. This passing game couldn't get going. They got Marlon Humphrey and George Pickens on man-to-man. George Pickens beat him. And, yeah, so that one reception was most of the yardage, which sealed the deal. So, but that offense they're getting carried by their defense. The defense needs to play perfect football because the Steelers' offense cannot score more than 20 points a game. So the Steelers' defense needs to play perfect football to keep people off of that, which they are doing very well at right now. They are 3-2 and top of the division right now. So, but that offense really needs to get going to be able to solidify that they're going to be top of the division at the end of the year. And right now, it doesn't look like that offense is going to really go anywhere because that offense is looking slow. Jaylen Warren, he was doing pretty good. He was hurdling defenders. Every time he gave him the ball, I was a little worried because this guy was all over the place. So I'll give him credit there. Pittsburgh defense plays lights out. So All right, we're going to jump over to the Titans and Colts. Sad, sad, sad thing because I love watching Anthony Richardson play. I absolutely love him. He is dynamic, but these injuries are really hurting him. These injuries are really, really hurting him because it feels like he's getting injured in every game, especially for fantasy owners. It is a heartbreaker because he is playing great, and then all of a sudden, an injury happens and he's out. So, but Zach Moss, I mean, Jonathan Taylor came in there, ran 6 times for 18 yards. Zach Moss ran 23 times for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns for a 7.2 yard average. Zach Moss is playing great. Gardner Minshew came in. He 11 completions out of 14 attempts for 155 yards. No touchdowns, but no interceptions either. He only missed 3 passes. So Gardner Minshew's playing football when he needs to. Josh Downs, 6 receptions, 97 yards. Michael Pittman, 5 receptions, 52 yards. Zach Moss even got 2 receptions for 30 yards. I mean, this Zach Moss, he is great. How are they going to replace Zach Moss with Jonathan Taylor when Zach Moss is playing these kind of numbers? That is going to be hard. So we will see. But Tennessee Titans, they're really picking up this offense, in my opinion. They're really picking up the passing game. I mean, it's not stats you want to be like, whoa, but 23 for 34 for Ryan Tannehill, 264 yards and an interception, no touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins had 8 receptions for 140 yards. They're finally getting him involved. So, I mean, that's something to look forward to. Derrick Henry and Tyjae Spears, they're running back duo. Derrick Henry had 13 carries for 43 yards. Tyjae Spears had 7 carries for 34 yards and a touchdown. I mean, they're looking like a good duo, too. So, we'll see how this continues. Titans offense, if they can start getting the pass game involved, they'll open up run lanes for both Tyjae and Derrick Henry. So, we're hoping that that continues. But the Colts got the win. We're also going to look at the Giants. Oh, the Giants. So, when Saquon comes back, is he expected to carry the team? Because Daniel Jones looks awful. We're going to go down right and say it. Daniel Jones looks awful, and it's not all of his fault. People are blaming Daniel Jones, but when your offensive line creates as many pressures, creates as many sacks, I don't think you guys realize, but the offensive line gave up 7 sacks this game, which totals 30 sacks this year. Most in the league. This guy is getting destroyed behind the line. Like Daniel Jones is finally on the injury list. I'm surprised it just now happened. Daniel Jones just cannot stop getting pressured. So that's a very big issue for the New York Giants. And they're going against the Dolphins offense. Dolphins offense is going to score. You got to score more than them to win. Because Dolphins offense, it's hard to stop them. It's possible, but it's hard to stop them. So Giants, Darren Waller finally having a game, 8 receptions, 86 yards. The second best receiver was Darius Slayton for two receptions, 35 yards. There was no rushing at all, it felt like, in this game. Eric Gray, 12 carries, 25 yards, 2.1 average. Matt Breida, 9 carries, 21 yards, 2.3 average. Wan'Dale Robinson, 1 carry, 1 yard. None of their actual running backs averaged more than 2.3 yards a carry. And that was 3 of them. Now, Daniel Jones ran 4 times for 24 yards, 6 average. You can't expect him to do it all. You got to have some relief for him. He's getting hit in the backfield and then expect to run. So, this is rough for him. Tua, other than those 2 interceptions, Tua is playing great this year. 22 completions out of 30 attempts, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 8 receptions for 181 yards and a touchdown for Tyreek Hill. This guy is going to break some records this year. I mean, he's going off. He said 2,000 yards. I believe him. Devon Achane, 11 carries, 151 yards and a touchdown. It's sad because he's going to be injured, it sounds like. Raheem Mostert, 10 carries, 65 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, this team is fast. It's reliable. These guys are a real contender. Dolphins look good. All right, so we're going to jump over to the Saints versus Patriots. This is another bummer game. New England Patriots got 0 points. Once again, Mac Jones gets pulled for Bailey Zapp. Oh, Mac Jones. He struggled again. He threw for 110 yards and 2 interceptions in 3 quarters. So, and he got replaced by Bailey Zapp. Ramondre Stevenson, 8 carries, 24 yards, and a 3 average. Ezekiel Elliott, 8 carries, 21 yards, a 2.6 average. They cannot get anything going. This defense is not good enough to carry your offense. And then you got the Saints. Derek Carr, 18 for 26, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's still struggling. That defense is keeping him in the game. That defense is stout. Alvin Kamara, 22 carries, 80 yards, and a 3.6 average with a touchdown. Michael Thomas, he's looking good this year. And he's not injured yet. So people saying he's not worth it in fantasy, I mean, he might be back. 4 receptions, 65 yards, and a 16.2 average. So, but this wasn't really about offense. This was about the Saints defense just not allowing the Patriots to do anything. So that being said, Saints defense were putting their offense in scoring positions. So, I mean, the crazy thing is the tackles weren't even nuts. It was the 2 interceptions, and it was just them not being able to move the ball. Let me get to the next game. So we're going to talk about the Bengals. Seeing them come back worries me because they looked good. Joe Burrow, 36 for 46, 317 yards, and 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. Joe Mixon with 25 carries, 81 yards. Jamar Chase, he's back. I told everybody he was coming back. It's only a matter of time. 15 receptions, 192 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This guy went off. Fantasy owners, you are happy. I hope you did not bench Jamar Chase because he came back and he came back good. This doesn't mean that Josh Dobbs had a bad game. I mean, he threw 2 interceptions. He also threw 2 touchdowns. Josh Dobbs, he is doing what nobody expected him to do. Josh Dobbs is having games. I mean, he is surprising. He's been a backup all this time, and he's doing great. I mean, his top rusher had 3 carries, 50 yards. James Conner, injured. Very sad. 6 carries, 46 yards. Receiving-wise, Marquise Brown, old Raven, 4 receptions, 61 yards, and a touchdown. He's been having consistency, too. Michael Wilson, he only had 1 reception for 18 yards. Michael Wilson, keep that name in your head, especially for fantasy owners. Keep that name in your head because this young kid is good. They didn't have a good game, but this Michael Wilson is good. But 34-20, Bengals won. Arizona Cardinals still put up 20 points. So that shows that they're still fighting for it. Don't let their 1-4 records fool you. They're not bad. All right, moving right along. We got the Jets. Now, how many expected Zach Wilson to do some of these passes? I mean, these back shoulder passes are fun to watch. Russell Wilson's looking pretty all right, too. He's not playing the best, but he's also going with the worst defense. Zach Wilson, 19 for 26, 199 yards, 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. He had a little bit of time management issue before halftime, but then he came out and he was making great passes. He didn't have to throw touchdowns. Breece Hall with 22 carries and 177 yards and a touchdown. But this defense, they were playing great. This defense is crazy. And they can hold them. They can hold pretty much anybody. You saw with Patrick Mahomes. They almost beat Patrick Mahomes with Zach Wilson. That's how good this defense is. So, Russell Wilson, 20 completions, 31 out of 31 attempts, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jaleel McLaughlin, looking good. 9 carries, 68 yards, and a 7.6 average. He's looking like a good running back to replace Javonte Williams until he gets back. Also, Samaje Perine, 4 receptions, 73 yards. He also ran 6 times for 22 yards. He's a good pass catching back. Jerry Jeudy, 6 receptions, 50 yards. There was a few. Jaleel McLaughlin also had 3 receptions, 21 yards, and a touchdown. So this Broncos offense, it's improving, but you need both sides of the ball to play. That includes the defense, and that's where the biggest issue is right now. Dallas, good old Dallas. You know what? We'll go to the Rams game first with the Eagles. So Jalen Hurts looking like he's back. 25 for 38, 303 yards, a touchdown, interception. A.J. Brown, 6 receptions, 127 yards. They're playing like they did last year. They're doing good. Jalen Hurts, 15 carries, 72 yards. DeAndre Swift, 17 carries, 70 yards. Yeah, they're doing good. Jalen Hurts had that 1 interception in the end zone, but other than that, they're playing good. Dallas Goedert finally coming back, 8 receptions, 117 yards, and a touchdown. On the Rams side, Cooper Kupp came out and had a game. Puka Nacua also had a game. I told you, Puka is not going to lose from having Cooper there. They are going to complement each other well. Then you got Tutu Atwell in the slot. Tutu Atwell lost a lot. 2 receptions, 9 yards, and a touchdown. Now Cooper Kupp, 8 receptions, 118 yards, no touchdown. But 118 yards in your first game back, that's great. Puka Nacua, 7 receptions, 71 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, this is a solid team. Matt Stafford had 21 completions, 37 attempts, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. It was a great game, and I expect it to continue. Okay, and now we got Dallas. Oh, we were hoping for a great game right here. We'll start with the end score, 42-10. Dallas continues to struggle in the red zone, and Dak's interceptions are back. So Dak went 14 for 24, 153 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Tony Pollard only had 8 carries, 29 yards. Another team that couldn't get the run game going, so they couldn't get the pass game going. This is, you got to do one or the other. I mean, you got to do both. You can't just do one or the other. CeeDee Lamb, 4 receptions, 49 yards, being their top receiver. Then you got George Kittle on the other side, 3 receptions, 67 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Every one of his receptions were touchdowns. That's crazy. Brock Purdy playing great football, 17 for 24, 252 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I mean, they're playing great. He had no interceptions against this great defense. Jordan Mason came out after Christian McCaffrey got out. 10 carries, 69 yards, and a touchdown. It just shows how good this team is. I never even heard Jordan Mason. I mean, he just came out and rocked it. Christian McCaffrey, 19 carries, 51 yards, and a touchdown. And they were passing the ball around. Brandon Ayuk, 4 receptions, 58 yards. Deebo Samuel, 3 receptions, 55 yards. But it's the defense that does the most. Yeah, it was a great game for the 49ers, awful game for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys really just need to figure out their red zone offense. Dak's making silly throws. He's not putting them in the position to succeed. So we got to see something from him. We're going to move to the Chiefs and Vikings game. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he is winning football games, but he does not look as slick and as good as he usually does. This offense really needs to get on track because their defense is playing great. Patrick Mahomes is 31-41, 281 yards and 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco, 16 carries, 55 yards, a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 10 receptions, 67 yards and a touchdown. I mean, they're playing good, but they need to pick it up. It was 27-20 against the Vikings, the struggling Vikings, if I may put in. Kirk Cousins was 29 completions, 47 yards, 284 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This was a very sad game for the Vikings. Very sad. They saw Justin Jefferson leave today. And that's sad. He is half of the Vikings offense. So they really expect TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison to really step it up because that's a big loss. So expect Jordan Addison and KJ Osborne to pick up the speed with catching balls and trying to move the field. And if they don't, this offense is not looking like it's going to go anywhere. So we will see. It's sad for the Vikings. Justin Jefferson keeps them in the games, and without him, it's going to be hard. All right, so last but not least, we got the Raiders versus the Packers. That was last night. So, Packers, they look good, but not in the first half. You cannot win football games every time from coming behind. You have to take that lead early. And Max Crosby was looking crazy on that offensive line. He was getting past them. They were double covering him with tight ends, and he was getting through them. So it was a crazy game by Max Crosby, too. You can't completely discredit Jordan Love for this, but you can discredit him for 3 interceptions. He might have been getting pressured for that, but there were some questionable throws that he threw those interceptions for. A.J. Dillon, 20 carries, 76 yards, a touchdown. He was doing good. Christian Watson finally looking like he's coming back, 30 receptions, 91 yards. Jimmy Garoppolo. I said last week, if Jimmy's in the game, they win. If Jimmy's not in the game, they lose. Jimmy, 22 for 31, 208 yards, a touchdown and interception. Josh Jacobs, 20 carries, 69 yards, and a touchdown. And Jacoby Myers, 7 receptions, 75 yards. 75 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adams only had 4 receptions, 45 yards. They were covering him. They were covering Devontae. I hear people saying you need to get it to Devontae more. They cannot force the ball to him. There's a few times maybe they'll put it up and see if he can get it, but they were playing smart football, and that's what won them the game. So don't force it to him if he's covered. Simple as that. Wait till he gets in open coverage, and they're trying not to let Devontae get in open coverage. So Jacoby Myers is eaten because of it. So that's not a bad thing. So that's the games for this week. We have some notable fantasy Week 5 injuries. We'll start with Anthony Richardson from the Colts. He has a shoulder injury. The MRI was negative, so we'll have to monitor his health throughout the week, but it sounds like he's going to be about a month out. Daniel Jones of the Giants, neck injury. This is no surprise. This guy got sacked 30 times this year already. So this is the first time he's on the list. That's kind of surprising by itself. James Conner with the Cardinals. He has a knee injury. We have to wait and see what happens with him. Definitely someone to keep an eye on. It sounds like he'll at least be out next week. Saquon Barkley, Giants, ankle injury. He's been practicing on a limited basis for about 2 weeks now. So I really expect him to make his return for the Week 6 matchup. We will see. I really hope so because he's on my fantasy team. Javonte Williams on the Broncos. He has a hamstring injury. He practiced full on Friday, but was still held from the game. So that was kind of surprising. But Jaleel McLaughlin and Samaje Perry, they looked pretty good. They had great weeks while he was gone. And that might be something they want to look into. Because Javonte seems injury prone. And if you can use him a little less, get the yards with him. Still use him. Use him less as a workhorse, though, and use Jaleel McLaughlin, Samaje Perine, him as a tandem. It might take a little pressure off Javonte Williams, and maybe you won't see those injuries happen as much anymore. Jahmyr Gibbs with the Lions, hamstring injury. Things have been trending in the wrong direction for him last week and this week. So he did not come back Sunday, but we're hoping to see him this week. There's still, I don't have an update on him. So we'll just have to watch and see what happens with him. Khalil Herbert, this is sad. He was having a game in the Bears for the Bears, and he got an ankle injury, and it seems like he'll be out for a few weeks at least. So that's sad. He was having a great game. He was fighting for yards. It was impressive. Justin Jefferson. This is some hard ones. Justin Jefferson put on IR. So Jordan Addison's your next best bet. So go grab him if he's available. I doubt he's available in your fantasies, but go grab him if he is. T. Higgins off the Bengals. He has a rib injury. There was no surprise that he didn't play last week. No one expected him to play, honestly. They said that it was a possibility. It was questionable. And I knew he wasn't going to play. There's still a long ways to go to play in week 6, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. But I don't expect him to play week 6. I expect 7 or 8. Hopefully, if everything trends in the right direction, 7 or 8. So we'll see. Wan'Dale Robinson from the Giants, he got a concussion. He's in protocol, so just keep an eye on him. That can last a day. That can also last 3 weeks. So it all depends on how protocol goes. Tank Dell's in the same situation on the Texans. He has concussion. He's in protocol. We'll have to wait and see. Juju Smith-Schuster, concussion. A lot of wide receiver concussions. Zay Jones on the Jaguars. He has a knee injury. Something to keep your eye on. He already missed time with the knee injury, and now he got it again. So we'll have to see what happens. And Travis Kelce plays on Thursday. He has an ankle injury. He did come back from that ankle injury and catch a touchdown pass. So it's something to watch, but hopefully it's good. Hopefully he's ready to go on Thursday, and we will see what's happening with him. I also got some fantasy waiver wire pickups for this week. So the best waiver wire pickups is starting to slim down. We're getting later in the season. The good players are starting to separate from the bad players. The good fantasy players are starting to separate from the bad fantasy players. So it's going to be slimmer as we go on unless people start to break out. So we're going to start with quarterbacks. Quarterback Gardner Minshew. He's only 1% rostered. He's going to be in 2 to 4 weeks probably while Anthony Richardson's out. So he's been solid. I mean, he's not doing crazy numbers, but he's been solid. So if you need a backup or you need a starting quarterback and there's no other option, Gardner Minshew might be the guy. So Zach Moss is taking a lot of pressure off of him. So he might be able to make those throws and get those touchdowns for you. Another quarterback who's only 33% rostered is Sam Howell in the Commanders. He's put up at least 15 fantasy points in 4 contests and scored 25 points in another. He's looking pretty good. I mean, even against like pretty good defenses like the Eagles, he's putting up all right numbers. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. If you can't pick him up, he's at least a good backup quarterback. Quarterback Baker Mayfield. He's only 19% rostered on the Buccaneers. Mayfield scored 13 or 16 points in more in 3 of his 4 games. The only bad one was against the Eagles defense, which Eagles defense is tough, especially with the pressure. He even dropped 22.9 fantasy points on a tough New Orleans defense. He has 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions this year. I mean, that's pretty good. 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. No one expected this from Baker Mayfield. Nobody even knew if he was going to be a starter. Now he's throwing all these touchdowns and only 2 interceptions, and they're doing pretty good. So we'll have to wait and see on Baker Mayfield too. But he might be a solid starting option. Mike Evans makes him do good as well. So Mike Evans being in there improves Baker Mayfield. Running backs. Roschon Johnson with the Bears. Khalil Herbert said to miss some time, so this guy's only 41% rostered, and he might be a good pickup. We'll see how good he does, but he might be a good pickup and a wait-and-see guy. Running back Chuba Hubbard with the Panthers. He's 32% rostered. Everybody expected Miles Sanders to come out there and be the lead back. Miles Sanders really has not shown much. So Chuba Hubbard has, and now he is out snapping him. So he might be a solid option to start. Wide receivers, Josh Reynolds, 41% rostered. He's on the Lions. Amon-Ra was out this past weekend. 4 out of 5 games, Reynolds scored at least 9.9 half PPR points with a high of 23.6. Week 3 he didn't do good and scared a lot of people. But he has posted at least 65 yards in 4 out of 5 games. So, I mean, this guy's putting up yards. And this guy's consistent. So, don't let 1 week scare you. So, this might be a guy to pick up and have on your bench. Might be a guy to start if you have an injury. So, check him out. Wide receiver Quentin Johnson with the Chargers, 33% roster. Now, this is something that is questionable, but it could be a big return. First round wide receiver, hasn't been used much. Mike Williams is out. They didn't use him much the first game, but during their bye week, they were working him a lot. They plan on using him during their in their plays more because they were looking for a Keenan Allen, Mike Williams mix and let Quentin Johnson slowly get in there. Now they see Mike Williams go out and they're throwing him in. Quentin Johnson's going in the fire. So this guy could either be a boom or a bust guy. But do you want to miss his boom if he does have a boom? So this guy might be, I mean, he's only 33% rostered. So pick him up. See what happens. Same with Michael Wilson from the Cardinals. Pick him up, sit him on the bench, see what happens. If he's scoring big numbers, you have a guy on your bench scoring big numbers that you could put in. So another wide receiver, Josh Downs with the Colts, 9% rostered. He's put together a solid rookie season. Nobody's even talking about him really. I mean, this dude has scored at least 5 half PPR points in all 5 games so far, and he also just had 6 receptions and 97 yards off of 6 targets. He saw all of his targets, 97 yards in the last game. So I mean, he's doing great. Another a tight end that would be a good pickup is Logan Thomas, the Commanders. He's 15% rostered. So I mean, this guy's he's averaging 11.6 half PPR points per game in the 3 games he played start to finish. So I'll let the games that he didn't play start to finish scare you. He's putting up consistent numbers so far. We'll see if it continues, but I saw his play. I like him. I like him as a tight end. Another wide receiver I want to talk about before we end this is Jameson Williams off the Lions. This guy has a lot of potential to be a boom player. He came in, he didn't have a lot to do on the offense his first game back from the suspension. This guy's fast. This guy looks good. The only thing is that they need to get him incorporated in the offense. If they get him incorporated in this offense, I think he could be a very big boom player. So I think this could be a very good thing. So if you can pick him up, sit on your bench, and wait and watch. Let's see in a few weeks if he is going off. So that's all I have today. So if you guys have any questions, comment, like, subscribe, help us continue this. We want to give you all the information. Let us do the research so that you guys have the information. And then we can all, if you need something, comment. I will bring it up. Maybe if it's really important, comment. I'll respond right away. I mean, if you're commenting in the middle of the night, I'll respond in the morning. Let me know. Send me your fantasy stuff. Let me know if you have questions, concerns, comments. If you want something else brought up into the stream, let us know. I don't have much betting for you today, so let me pull this up real quick. This week, I didn't put in too many bets. Let me see here. So, Broncos and Chiefs. There's a 10.5 spread. The Broncos have been playing pretty decent offense. Their defense is just not too good. The over is 48. The only thing is the Chiefs' defense is also playing good. So I don't know if I would even touch this game. And the Chiefs spread it too much for me to put an anytime touchdown in this. So I'd probably skip this game. Ravens versus Titans. I would put the over on the 40.5. I think that the Tennessee Titans are starting to pass more and get more points on the board. Ravens and Titans have a big rivalry since the playoff game, so I think this might be a high-scoring game. 49ers versus the Browns. This game is over 37.5. I would smash that over. They think this is going to be all defense. I think the 49ers are about to go off. So I think the 49ers will score at least 28. That just needs the Browns to score 10. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting game, especially to see how the 49ers handle the Cleveland Browns defense. But I think they're going to handle it just fine. There's not much stopping Christian McCaffrey right now. And Cleveland let the Ravens walk all over them. 49ers are a lot scarier than the Ravens. Miami Dolphins versus Carolina Panthers. This is pretty one-sided. I wouldn't touch this one either. If you want to, I would put a Tyreek Hill touchdown. If you want to be crazy, maybe 2 touchdowns because it's the Panthers and they've been doing really bad. But yeah, I wouldn't touch this game too much either. Colts versus Jaguars. I'm all for Jaguars. I think the Colts have been scoring a decent amount too. So I'd probably put the -4 on the Jags though. Without Anthony Richardson, this offense doesn't look as dynamic. So I would put the -4 on the Jags. Jags have been coming back the last few games. Vikings versus the Bears. It all depends on Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields has turned it up recently, so I'd be scared to touch this. So I'd probably hit the over because the Vikings likes to throw it downfield, and if the Bears play the way they've been, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, which is crazy to say because I wouldn't think that about the Bears. But the Vikings defense, they're not doing too great, so I think the Bears might be able to have another one of those games. The Seahawks versus the Bengals. This is another game where it's like, I hope the Bengals have their good game. I want to see them do good. I want to see them in the playoffs. I'm a Ravens fan. Saw them in the playoffs last year. They beat us. I'll see them in the playoffs again. But the Bengals, they were looking good last week. Seahawks, I mean, they score a lot. Both of them have like a high scoring teams with a lot of dynamic wide receivers. So I'd probably hit the over on the 45.5. It's kind of high though. It's a little sketchy, but I think I'd probably hit the over on that. Texans versus Saints. If anything, I'd hit the over on C.J. Stroud. If it says 220, this is a Saints defense. I'd probably say if it says 229.5 for his yardage over, I would hit the over. C.J. Stroud's having pretty consistent numbers. The Commanders versus the Falcons. Oh man, these are some games. It's all depending on Desmond Ridder. If Desmond Ridder has a game like he did this week or last week, then they might win this. But right now, the Commanders are underdogs. And plus 124, I'd probably hit the Commanders on money line. I think they're going to come back pretty strong. Patriots versus the Raiders. I'm going to go to Raiders. I cannot think that the Patriots are going to come back. I don't even know if Mac Jones is going to be a starter after this week. But yeah, I think I'd hit a Jacoby Myers touchdown as a anytime touchdown, if anything. Philadelphia Eagles versus New York Jets. This is going to be a tough one. Jets defense is good. This is going to be a tough one, so it should be interesting to watch. The spread's 7, but I think the Eagles will come out with the win. I'd probably hit the over 41, though. Over 41, just because. See, both those defenses are good, though. It's going to be a hard one. I don't know if I would touch this game. If I did, I would probably be a A.J. Brown touchdown. I wouldn't touch this game, though. Lions versus Buccaneers. I think the Lions will win this game. I think the Bucs will put up a good fight, though. I would say over 43.5 points. Cardinals versus Rams. This is going to be also a good game, but I think the Rams are going to move away with it. I think Cooper Kupp's going to catch a touchdown. And I also think Puka Nacua is going to have over, let's say, 70 yards. So if that's a chance, then you might be able to parlay those. Giants versus Bills. The Bills are going to destroy the Giants. Even with Saquon Barkley in there, I mean, they stopped the Miami Dolphins. If the Giants win this might be a trap game for the Bills, but if the Giants win this, that'll be very surprising. It's prime time, nighttime. So, and then you got the Dallas Cowboys with the Chargers, two struggling teams. So that's going to be interesting as well. I think Dallas will come out with the win. They're pissed about last week, and I think they will come out with the win. They just got to fix their red zone defense or offense. But yeah, that's all the games for this week. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. And we will be back every Tuesday. Gage will be back next week. I will be leaving for vacation after next week, and I'll be gone for a few weeks, and then I will be back. So we will keep it up while I'm gone. Gage will be doing this, and we look forward to seeing you. Have a good one.